Happy Dasara to all. This is a short video we are making to share with our friends and family who could not join us this Navarathri season. I start with the center or the main piece of my Golu arrangement. This is the traditional piece that features traditional dolls of many Hindu gods and goddesses, and also celebrates all of God's creations in various forms. On the top step, featured right in the middle, is Lord Ganesha, the remover of all obstacles. On either side of God Ganesha are two sets of the three goddesses in whose name this festival is celebrated: Goddess Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. The next step is dedicated to the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu. Starting from the left is Matsya, fish; Kurma, tortoise; Varaha, the wild boar; Narasimha, the lion; Vamana, the dwarf man; Parasurama, Rama, Balarama, Krishna, and the Kalki avatar. Right in the middle is Lakshmi Varahan, the wild boar avatar with goddess Lakshmi. The next step in the center is Lord Subramanya with Valli and Devayane. On the left, starting from the left, there is Lord Rama in one of his journeys, Ganesha, again Rama with Lakshmana, Sita, and Lord Hanuman, Lord Srinivasa, Goddess Durga, and again Lord Hanuman. In front of them are various dolls of God Ganesha playing various music instruments. The next three steps are men and women in various forms. On the third step and the extreme left is the traditional Kathakali dance form from Kerala. Then we see several Jaipur dolls of men playing various music instruments. Behind the men are the silver figurines of Far East women, again playing many music instruments. The far right again is the traditional Manipuri dancer doll. Right in the middle of that step is the traditional Poikal Godirai, false horse dance form from South India. The next step features right in the middle the two merchant dolls selling various rice and grains, and you would also notice the cash box next to the woman. In this step are again from the left various men and women. You see the vegetable seller in the far left. Then we see various men and women, beautiful figurines made of delicate clay here. And moving to the right, again various men celebrating God and singing songs in different forms. We have Surdas, who's also joined by the Sufi saints here, and the far right is a vegetable seller woman to match the vegetable seller on the far left. Coming to the bottom step, right in the middle is a traditional South Indian wedding. You see the bride and the groom seated in the middle, and the priest conducting the wedding. Behind them are the father and mother of the bride and father and mother of the bridegroom. To the far right, you see the Nadaswaram and and on the other side you see a music performance. Also featured on this bottom row on either side are the traditional Marapachi dolls made of wood. You see again a bride and a groom in the Marapachi form on either side of this step. And since, as I mentioned before, we celebrate all of God's creations, you also see on this step fruits and vegetables that have been placed as an offering to the various gods. Now we will move to the next exhibit. This features very prominently Bhagavad Gita in the middle, rendering of the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, who in the battlefield in Mahabharata suddenly decides that he is unable to fight against his cousin brothers. That is the central theme here, but also here you see Lord Krishna in various forms, from little baby Krishna enjoying his curd and butter to Krishna dancing with the Gopikas. And this Krishna with the Gopikas you can see on either side, both the left. You would see little magic Krishna hiding in the tree there, as well as Krishna with the gopis on the far right. Don't miss the overflowing yogurt and butter in these pots, Krishna's favorite. In the corner, the middle right, you see Meera, one of Krishna's ardent devotees and singer, in whose. Now we come to the main new piece of this year's Golu. This is where I do a thematic piece every year. This year we have chosen the 4 industrial revolutions as the theme for this side exhibit. So as you all know, throughout the history of mankind, there have been many industrial technological revolutions, and we wanted to showcase that for this year. So the very first industrial revolution started in the mid to late 1700s, and this centered around the invention of steam as a source of power. So you see there the steam engine, which is central to the first industrial revolution. And with the steam engine and the invention of steam power came this whole idea of mechanization, which means you can use machines for many of the things that humans used to do by hand prior to that. So right behind this exhibit with the steam engine that depicts the first industrial revolution, you would see in the back how pretty much everything was done by hand before the first industrial revolution, whether it was the making of bricks or shoes or pots. You see blacksmiths and cobblers and so on. And of course, the weaving of cloth was also done entirely by hand. Whereas in the first industrial revolution, with the invention of steam power also came power looms and spinning jennies, which mechanized the making of cloth and textiles. That was again a central piece of the first industrial revolution. Moving on, the second industrial revolution happened in the mid to late 1800s, and there were 2 things that were central to this second industrial revolution. First is electrification, the invention of electricity, and second, the idea of mass production of cars or automobiles. You see here featured the Ford Motor Company, and behind that an assembly line with factory workers rolling out cars by the minute in a Ford factory assembly line. Behind the men, of course, you see all their gears and tools and various automobile parts. Along with the invention of this mass-produced automobile came highways, people moving into suburbs, and also it created a whole new ecosystem of roadside motels, roadside fast food restaurants, and so on. Around the same period also came the Green Revolution. But before I talk about the Green Revolution, let us go to the back. What you see in the back is traditional farming. Again, this shows a scene from South India. This is a traditional farming scene that shows every aspect of farming, from plowing the land to sowing to transplanting to reaping, harvesting, winnowing, threshing, till the last step of loading the sacks of grain onto a bullock cart. Everything was done by hand with the help of animals. The Green Revolution transformed this, where many different types of farm instruments, tractors, harvesters, winnowers, and so on, introduced and revolutionized agriculture. One thing I point out in particular, all the things that were done by the 5 people in a circle in the back, which is reaping, winnowing, threshing, and so on, have all been now replaced by one single machine here that is called the combine harvester. So many people working in the field, in the back, and after the invention of these mechanized agricultural equipment, you will see that there are very, very few people working in the farm. Next, we move on to the third industrial revolution. But first, let me point out at the back, you see a traditional school with the kids sitting in their desks. And of course, the teacher in the back teaching a math lesson. The third industrial revolution brought about computers and communication equipment, and of course the internet. So here you see a modern classroom with kids sitting in front of their laptops. Perhaps the one child that is absent there is on Zoom. So this is part of the third industrial revolution involving computers and internet. Right in the front, you see the circle with the ones and zeros. Here I've tried to depict the fact that the internet has made the world a much smaller place. It has brought people from around the world together. You see people from around the world, Japanese and Indians and Nepalese and American, all connected by the internet. So now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, and here we feature various robots who can walk and run and talk and fly. This robot has a drone attached to that. We have also featured here the new green revolution, which is the use of clean energy, solar panels on top of that tall IT building there. And another thing that is featured here is the 3D printing, which is also part of the fourth industrial revolution. Here is a 3D printed guitar that my son actually made in his high school. So these are the 4 industry revolutions. So way in the back is featured one icon of each of the 4 revolutions: the steam engine, the mass-produced automobile, cell phones and computers, and of course there is the smart robot who again can dance and sing. We can do a separate demo of that. One final thing that I would like to point out is that every time there was an industrial revolution, it also came with a lot of fear and a lot of opposition and anxiety, because people were afraid that they would be losing their jobs. In the very first industrial revolution, the Luddite movement was when power looms were destroyed because the weavers thought that their jobs were going to disappear. But in reality, many, many more new jobs were created and people moved on. Likewise, with the invention of the automobile, there was concern that the horse-drawn carriage would disappear and there would be a loss of jobs. But again, as I said before, the mass-produced automobile created a whole new ecosystem of highways and roadside motels and fast food restaurants and so on and so forth. Likewise, also, when the computers were invented, there was a lot of fear that jobs were disappeared. But as we all know, there are so many more new jobs and different jobs now that involve building computers and coding and whatnot. So there is finally, with the age of robots and AI, there is again a similar fear. Are the robots going to take over the world? Are all the jobs going to disappear? Is this the end of the world? And so on. Again, we hope that as what happened with the previous revolutions, many more jobs, new jobs, different jobs are going to be created. But in the future, the robots would take care of all of the difficult jobs. But all other jobs, they would be working very closely with humans and helping humans advance. So that is what I have tried to depict here. Each of the robots is actually working in tandem with a human on various things. So that concludes our little tour of my Golu this season. I hope you all enjoyed this, and again, wish you all a very, very happy Dasara, and we will see you next year. Bye-bye.